On a chilly spring night in 1922, 6 souls lay slaughtered on a lonely farmstead in rural Bavaria, and their killer vanished into the surrounding woods without a trace. Hinterkaifeck, a name now synonymous with dread, sits at the heart of Germany's most confounding cold case. Tonight, we step back a century through mist-shrouded fields and aged police reports to reconstruct the events that led to one of history's eeriest unsolved mysteries. Tucked away roughly 70 kilometers north of Munich, the Gruber's homestead was a picture of rural solitude. The small clearing, hemmed in by dense pine forest, held little more than a simple farmhouse, an aging barn, and a handful of outbuildings. Isolation was the farm's defining trait, and perhaps its greatest vulnerability. Andreas Gruber, then 63, and his wife Cecilia, 72, had lived here for decades. They shared the land with their widowed daughter Victoria, 35, and her 2 young children, 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Joseph. In late March 1922, their household expanded when a new maid, 44-year-old Maria Baumgartner, arrived to help with spring chores. In the weeks before the tragedy, neighbors reported unsettling signs. Fresh footprints crossed the snow-covered yard toward the house, but vanished on retreat. Inside, someone had placed snippets of newspaper, pages torn from Munich dailies, on the kitchen table. After dusk, residents claimed they heard the soft creak of attic floorboards, though no one lived above the living quarters. Andreas even warned locals that he feared for everyone's safety, urging his previous maid to sleep at a neighboring farm. Yet despite these ominous warnings, life followed its rhythm. Maria arrived on the morning of March 31st, settled in for her first day, and made no more breakfast than the family she joined. As dusk fell on March 31st, 1922, Hinterkaifeck grew silent. No lantern light flickered at the windows, no smoke curled from the chimney. The sleepy hamlet around the farm carried on into the night, oblivious to the slaughter about to be discovered. The next morning, local mailman Josef Wagner approached the door, expecting his usual greetings. Silence greeted him instead. Peering through the frosted glass, he saw no movement. Unnerved, he ventured around to the barn, where he made an even more disturbing sight. The barn door was latched from the inside. When authorities forced entry, they found the gruesome tableau. 6 bodies lay strewn behind the locked barn door, each struck down by a heavy mattock. The sequence of wounds suggested a sudden, merciless onslaught. Some victims remained piled together as if the killer had moved between bodies, delivering final blows with ruthless efficiency. Worse still, investigators noted signs that the murderer lingered. Plates and cups sat undisturbed on the farmhouse table, as if someone shared a meal amid the carnage. A lantern, still lit, cast long shadows over the room. No tracks emerged from the homestead, no footprints led away through the snowy fields, implying the killer may have retraced his own steps or departed under cover of the dense woods. The sheer brutality and the chilling aftermath froze even seasoned officers in their tracks. Word spread quickly, and despite an immediate reward offered by local authorities, panic and speculation engulfed the region. From the outset, the investigation struggled against the limits of 1920s forensics. Officers scoured the property for clues, fragments of fabric, tool marks on the barn door, even stray fingerprints on the mattock handle. Yet the primary weapon lay in the loft, wiped clean of obvious traces. Soil samples from the porch bore no matching footprints. In a detail both macabre and maddening, a drop of saliva on the weapon's haft suggested the killer paused long enough to breathe after the final swing. Detectives questioned everyone connected to Hinterkaifeck. They interrogated neighbours, local farmhands who had briefly worked for the Grubers, and itinerant labourers known to drift through the area. They even tracked down Victoria's husband, Carl Gabriel, presumed dead in the First World War, and thus a prime candidate for vengeance or inheritance. But Gabriel had perished in combat, leaving no chance of his involvement. Rumours swirled of a jilted suitor, a disgraced soldier, or a shadowy drifter with a grudge. Yet each lead dissolved into thin air. Witnesses recalled odd figures lurking at the tree line, but descriptions varied so wildly they proved useless. Even the Grubers' own history, centuries-old land deeds and whispered family feuds, offered no smoking gun. In the weeks after the murders, Munich police staged nightly stakeouts at the farmstead, hoping the killer might return. They combed the forest floor with search parties, unfolded reward posters across Bavaria, and invited amateur sleuths to review their case files. But as winter thawed into summer, the frenzy cooled. Hinterkaifeck receded from headlines, leaving behind broken hearts, unanswered questions, and a mystery that would persist for generations. Why linger at a crime scene? Modern criminologists find the question as haunting as the case itself. Some propose ritualistic overtones, as if the murderer needed to assert dominance or enact a twisted ceremony. Others suggest the killer knew the family, perhaps trusting them enough to dine where they fell. The idea of a clandestine treasure hunt, searching cellars for hidden gold, surfaced early on, only to be dashed when nothing of value went missing. Decades later, forensic science offered glimmers of hope. In the 1950s, hair and bone fragments were re-examined. In 2007, a cold case unit conducted DNA sweeps across surviving relatives. In 2020, renewed interest led to fresh interviews with descendants and local historians. Each stride forward ended in frustration. No match, no confession, no breakthrough. Yet, Hinterkaifeck refuses to rest. Locals still visit the farmstead ruins, now marked by a simple wooden cross, to leave flowers or light candles. Ghost stories swirl around the site, claiming footsteps in empty rooms or spectral lantern glows beneath the attic eaves. Annual commemorations draw true crime enthusiasts who retrace the killer's supposed path, hoping for a sign the case may one day be solved. Hinterkaifeck remains a mirror reflecting our deepest fears, that violence can erupt without motive, that justice may slip through our grasp, and that some questions lie forever unanswered. 6 lives extinguished on a single night, yet the echoes endure across a century. If you have a theory we haven't uncovered, share your thoughts in the comments below. Perhaps your insight will spark the breakthrough that countless experts have missed. For more vanished mysteries and cinematic deep dives into history's unsolved cases, subscribe now and ring the bell. Our next journey into the shadows awaits.